Kamicazi Harriet. I mean,
Yeah.
I just don't understand why she's done it.
It really is like something out of a, very twisty-turny book.
Do you know what I think it is? It's that GCSE bite-size FBI training.
Do you think he softened the blow by explaining to her that he will get paid $3,500 a week for going on there?
He's muscly, my type. My type on paper.
That is the big rumour, that he is already booked, signed, sealed, delivered to headline Glastonbury in 2027.
Where's my sex? The sex has gone from the night manager.
This is Showbiz Fix, your destination for the inside scoop on all our celebrity exclusives and the biggest entertainment stories you're loving this week. Love Island may be arriving fashionably late, but we've got unfinished business with the villa. Plus, we're decoding Harry Styles' cryptic billboards. But first, let's head to the Highlands, where there's bold plays from the faithful. If you haven't watched the latest episode of The Traitors, consider this your official spoiler warning. But you've both watched.
Oh yeah, we were glued to it last night, weren't we?
Absolutely.
Together? A watch party.
I feel like I need a watch party for everyone, though, because I'm just messaging everyone about it because it's wild.
Last night's episode, I think, was probably the best ever because we saw the first ever traitor's suicide. It felt like.
Oh yeah, Kamicazi Harriet. I mean,
Yeah.
I just don't understand why she's done it. That she isn't going to get a medal for this. There's no MBE in the post for her just sort of throwing herself under the traitor's bus. And like, no one's done this before. Or correct me if I'm wrong, has someone done this before?
So what Harriet's basically said is everyone was so impressed by her in the church confessional scene. It was so well reasoned and she'd clearly very much prepared, hadn't she? It was full, I used to be a barrister. And then she'd clearly also prepared for the breakfast when she just went for everyone. But then it all began to unravel at the round table, didn't it? And she said in her exit interview with us that basically she just reached a point where she thought, I just can't be bothered with this anymore.
I mean, that's admirable, no?
It is, but the thing is, I think actually it wasn't at the round table that she unravelled. It was sort of at the breakfast.
Yeah.
When she snapped at Roxy, from then on, Roxy had that to, turn everyone against her in some ways. So that was a real shame. But also, I feel like there was way more arguments she could have given at the round table to pin the blame on Rachel. The fact that Fiona had massively turned on her and then proven to be a traitor, it was like, well, you can say that's traitor on traitor action, all of these phrases that they love to use. I thought it would have been a really obvious way to do it, but the way that she sort of sacrificed herself, I do sort of feel like she went to sleep that night before the breakfast thinking, I'm like a character in one of my own crime thrillers here, It's like, I'm going to bring the drama that I'd want in a plot from my own book. And I wouldn't be surprised if her next book is something along these lines, because it really is like something out of a, very twisty-turny book, isn't it?
Yeah. What I think is quite interesting is both Harriet and Fiona have said that one of the reasons why they wanted to go on the show and be the way they were is because they are women of a certain age who are usually invisible or not heard, and, the woman in the nice jumper and all this kind of thing. And it felt like both of them got the wind under their sails with that and just went off into the sunset.
But too much. They went way too far. And I also think, I agree with what you're saying, Hal, is that when she tried to make this case, it was like she was in court, here's my moment. But when she tried to make the case, it wasn't a great case. And I was just thinking, well, I'm glad you're not ever representing me, especially if I'm facing like a life sentence, because I just don't think that any jury would convict anyone of being a traitor based on that flimsy evidence she put up, no?
And also it's just the case, that as soon as you raise your voice in that room, you've got all eyes on you. And the genius thing that Rachel's doing is she's just sort of shrugging everything and saying, oh, I don't know, that's weird, or whatever. And everyone then just looks the other way. And it's really quite miraculous that at the end of last night's episode, everyone was just like, oh, we need to look at Roxy. And it's like, no, she's been pointing at Rachel the entire time.
Yeah, I also think that whether we like to admit it or not, it is a popularity contest. And if you're looking at, say, 2 or 3 people and you're going, well, they could be a traitor, I'm 50-50. The thing that might tip the balance is if you stick your head above the parapet and say something that makes people go, I don't like her. And I think that's what she did last night. So I think a lot of people will have voted for her for that reason.
But why was she likeable when she was a lady in a nice jumper, and then as soon as she raised her voice and had an opinion, she stopped being likeable?
I don't think it was so much that she raised her voice and had an opinion, but she did I mean, come on, I think anyone, male, female, young or old, would kind of go, she did it in quite an aggressive way. I mean, she was talking to Roxy, and it was her and Roxy. It wasn't her and a man. And even Roxy, as a young woman, said, I'm sorry, the way you went about that, the way you carried yourself and behaved was wrong. And I don't think it's anything to do with that.
Hal?
Yeah, I agree, actually. I mean, I do just think it's like anyone who speaks like that in that room, you're going to just draw all the heat onto yourself. And look, I don't know really how she could have gone about that in a better way, because really it is just that thing. As soon as you put your head above the parapet, you're either, you can be a traitor hunter for 2 minutes and then people will accuse you of being a traitor. So you really just need to fly under the radar the whole time. Like Ellie, no one is looking at her whatsoever. She's been completely useless for the entire game. She said that she was going to avenge Ross's death and has done absolutely nothing. And it's kind of incredible, but also it's a real shame that we're losing all these good characters and we're being left with people who haven't really had that much screen time. And there was a bloke on there last night who I thought, I don't know if I've ever seen you in my life. Was his name Adam? Is that who I'm thinking of? He's
the ghost hunter.
The ghost hunter. And I sort of remember him being a ghost hunter, but I was like, I think he said about 4 words during the entire series so far.
Actually, who is Adam? What does he look like? Is he the guy with the beard?
Yeah, he's like sort of gruff guy who's they did do a scene last night where he was holding one of those ghost hunter
Right,
wire.
okay.
Let's move on to more exciting people. Last night, obviously, the traitors it seems like they chose to murder instead of recruit. Certainly, Claudia says you're back in your happy place, and Stephen said we're feeling bloodthirsty. So they're murdering again. Do you think that this makes them safe, or is this putting them in a perilous position?
Well, I would say that actually Stephen, there was a lot of suspicion on him last week and it's all just completely evaporated. And I would say everyone's looking at practically everyone else in the room. And the only person who, hasn't had any suspicion whatsoever, I think, is Jessie. And I really wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the next 2 days, someone says, wait, no one's ever suspected you, and you've always seemed really innocent and faithful. So I think maybe Stephen's okay. And actually, the way that the end of the round table went last night, it seems like no one's even going to look at Rachel, which is like banging my head against a brick wall watching the show sometimes. But I think maybe they are safe for a few episodes yet.
Do you know what I think it is? It's that GCSE bite-size FBI training.
It was really quite incredible, that scene.
I'm sorry, can somebody just clarify this? Does she have that training or not? Did she just make that up on the spur of the moment?
She did talk about it in her entry press pack that she has had, I think it's 4 months worth online course. But hey, I wonder how much it costs.
I mean, an online course in becoming an FBI agent doesn't sound quite right. A QVC in being a spy. It's like...
How? It's working for her.
Well, she's doing something
owning
right.
it.
She is.
I think they're in preservation mode now. I think that's why they've started murdering again, because I think they feel like if they start recruiting, they're bringing in an uncertain element. And for now, those two have a good thing going on. They kind of trust each other as much as traitors can. But it's definitely a self-preservation stage now.
I want to debunk something.
Oh, go on.
Okay. So because the 23rd player this year is the internet... and it feels like every single day there's a new theory or a new suspect. This week's has been the second scroll. The second scroll has entered the chat. So basically, on Uncloaked, people have noticed with the traitor reveal scroll that they open, there's a second that sits on the table next to them. Everyone's forgotten that in the second episode of Uncloaked, Judy and Nettie opened the second scroll and it talked about the family connections. Everyone is convinced this second scroll is a huge, big twist coming. It's not.
Oh.
Wait. Have you worked this out, or do you know this piece of information?
I'm debunking this as a traitors expert.
Okay.
Oh.
It's the family connections. But the BBC have so much content for Uncloaked, they're just not necessarily needing to include that in the edit.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it won't come back.
Yeah.
As time leads on. But when there's so much to pack in and there's so much to delve into, we all know the family connections now. We know it was Judy and Roxy and Ross and Ellie.
Yeah.
We know that's that done now. The family tree was a red herring. And the second scroll is just that. I'm really sorry to ruin everyone's fun.
I love that people spot these things, though. It's so good because, there are all, little clues spotted here and there. And, hidden. And I love that people are trying to work these things out. And I do think it probably gives producers way more ideas. They think, actually, yeah, this is something we could do next year. I bet they're absolutely lapping it up and, loving these ideas of things that they can put into play next time.
I think, though, it might be a nightmare because everyone's now convinced, for example, there's a big twist coming. The twist is just how the game plays out. What all these players do. And are they then ultimately going to be disappointed when this big twist that they decided was coming doesn't come? You're ruining it for yourself.
What I would say, though, is The Traitors is such a great reality show because however dramatic episode 7 seems, episode 8 will be more dramatic, episode 9. And the final is always the most dramatic final of any reality show because there's so much peril involved. So I think even without some crazy twists, you don't need the seer and things like that, which I feel like actually those have been big twists in the past few series. Well, actually, I feel like you haven't really needed them because there's already so much tension and drama that I'm kind of here for not having a twist.
Well, do you think it's become a very complicated thing, this series? I can't help but feel like there's lots of new elements brought in. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but compared to other series, it's a very simple format, really. Does it need all these complications in there? I don't know if it really does. So
I think it's fed the internet.
Yes,
which is
true.
Something that now arguably every show needs to do.
It's crucial, right?
Part of the publicity and the hype relies on all of these armchair critics or sleuths. So, but speaking of another show that had a help up from external influences, poor old Love Island.
Oh dear, poor old Love Island.
My goodness me.
So what actually happened? So it started way later than planned.
Yeah, so it was meant to launch on Monday. Filming usually begins on Saturday. They film Saturday, Sunday, and then the first episode's Monday. But production's on site, obviously, before that. Do you want me to take you inside the story?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Okay, so on Saturday morning, we hear that filming has been postponed because of the terrible wildfires in Cape Town. Everyone thinks, it's just a safety thing. We broke it online. Fans were obviously devastated, but thinking it'll be fine for Monday. That's 3 days away. But then as time went on and obviously the fires raged, I did my weather girl bit and I went online, and there's this place nearby called Wemmershoek, which has a lot of vineyards, and that fire, there was just nothing to tame it. And it was only a mile from the Love Island villa.
Wow.
So it became more and more clear that this was incredibly dangerous. Logistically, apparently they couldn't even get down one of the roads they needed to. So there was just no way filming was going to happen. So then we were on tenterhooks, obviously. Is it going to be postponed for another day? What's the situation? And then obviously we got the call that it just wasn't going to be airing on Monday night as we had thought. Crisis, drama. But I think it's almost ended up being kind of good for the Love Island launch because everyone's been talking about it. Is that awful and cynical of me?
No. I think you're absolutely right. But I mean, it just makes me wonder, what on earth have those people been doing for the last week then, while they've been waiting on the show to restart?
Yeah, because they are like locked down, right? They can't have their phones or whatever. I bet they were bored as.
Yes. For the first time ever, we got a look into what lockdown is like. Now, there is a suggestion that perhaps these pictures that were posted on their accounts weren't necessarily live. So, for example, we had Jess Harding posting with her hair in a towel, saying, just in lockdown, what about you? We had Tommy sunbathing. There is a suggestion that maybe the agents posted those and they weren't allowed their phones, because that would be mad, right, if they'd been given their phones. But now we have the launch. Yay!
Finally.
So tonight, which is very exciting, Thursday night. And we broke online earlier today. It kicks off. So basically, obviously, first night there's a bombshell. Bombshell comes in and immediately there is a war of words with one of the OG Islanders. And I'm like, it's an X. There's some kind of beef from dating. But no, this is a same-sex clash. So I'm not sure yet whether it's girl on girl or boy on boy. We're keeping that secret. But this is just such a tense row that even Maya has to step in and referee.
Wow.
And
that's unheard of, isn't it?
I wouldn't expect anything less, though, from Love Island All-Stars, where they know exactly what they're doing and they know how to have a good row on TV, and that is what you want.
I know. Well, unwanted drama to start with the wildfires, but obviously now we're sat and we are ready for all of the goss, aren't we, and all the beef to deliver. I have got some bombshell updates as well.
Yes, absolutely, because I've seen lots of rumours about people potentially going in or not, and can you clear up what is real and what isn't?
Yeah, so Curtis Pritchard is out there.
Oh, wow.
Those pictures of him on his balcony.
So wait, Curtis is doing it again, right?
4th time.
God. I mean, why? Why is Curtis doing it again? Why are they allowing him to go back on that show?
Well, I tell you why, Roddy. Do you know how much they get paid a week?
What for going on Love Island? This is a good question. If it's more than like 200 quid, I'm going to be furious.
3.5 grand.
No, it can't be 3.5 grand.
It's a full-time job for him at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, like you would dump your girlfriend, wouldn't you? If you weren't that bothered. Speaking of which,
Oh, God.
Good segue there.
Charlie Frederick. So he is, I'm just putting it out there, the hunkiest man on the OG lineup.
Right.
I would say that because he's slightly older. He's muscly, you know, my type. My type on paper. But he was seeing a girl before he went in, super casual. And told her over New Year that he was going on holes to Cape Town in January. Lots of people do. She thought fine. And then the day before he flew out for All Stars, over brunch, he told her, I'm going on All Stars. Over brunch. Wow. It's giving Made in Chelsea.
I feel like we need now that's what they should have filled the blank airtime with, was like the pre-show of all the Love Islanders dumping their partners to go on the show. That would have been like, that's the TV I want to watch. Like, that would be so good. But also I do feel a bit bad. I mean, if you're in like a situationship, it's not quite, you know, it's not quite a girlfriend, right?
No, look, yeah, super casual, been on dates. I believe they live in different cities, so it is very casual. The funny thing here is more just like, he was like, I'm going All Stars. See what happens when we get back.
It was like
I should say, this is all allegations. This girl has said this, so
the soft launch of saying first that it's a holiday and then actually you're going on the biggest dating show in the UK.
Yeah.
Do you think he softened the blow by explaining to her that he will get paid 3.5 grand a week for going on there?
I'm sure that helped. I hope he paid for brunch.
Yeah, he said, I am breaking up with you, but I will pay for your $11.95 salmon.
I hope it was a nice bottomless. So look, I think it's set to be a great series. All signs point to that.
What do you think is a good lineup?
I've said this before, but I think the girls are absolutely delivering. They've got some real powerhouses there, strong women, lots of stories to tell. The men I'm less convinced by, but that just means that the bombshells will be banging.
Isn't that not always the case?
Yeah. Now I'm desperate to talk about you, Hal.
Me?
Everything you know about Harry Styles.
So this is, I feel like, the one that people are waiting for in 2026.
Yes.
Because Harry Styles, I think, is, as well as a national treasure, he's a worldwide love. He's like nothing else out there in music. I went to his shows on his last tour, and he just has this energy that he radiates that it's impossible not to like. Even if you don't even really like his music, you go to those shows and you cannot help but grin from ear to ear. So there's lots of talk about him coming back, which, yes, it is very, very imminent, I'm told. So there's these billboards that have been going around all over the world this week, which people have got very excited about. And they show a crowd, which is believed to be from his last show in Italy at the end of his last tour. And it says on the top, "We belong together." And no, I don't think that's a cover of Mariah Carey's classic.
I did wonder that. That was my immediate
I was
thought.
going to say that's a Taylor Swift reference.
Well, also maybe that. That would be a real curveball if the comeback single is a Taylor Swift collaboration. I don't think that's happening. But hey, stranger things have happened. But so no, that is what we know so far, is that he has put out these billboards, which are teasing stuff very imminently. Then last night, through his official WhatsApp channel, he sent out this voice note to his fans, which is a short clip of him saying those words. Obviously, people get very excited.
Saying we belong together.
Saying we belong together. So it's all very TBC over whether this is the single, whether this is the album, whether this is a lyric. But, you know, his fans are obsessed. And there's been so many theories about what this album's going to be. You know, there's some people who are convinced, because he was going to Berghain, which is this mega nightclub in Berlin, that it's going to be this experimental electro album. Which, hey, look, stranger things have happened. I would say that the image on the billboard isn't really giving that. I think it's probably more likely to be similar to what he's done before. And he's been in the studio with Kid Harpoon, who he's worked with on all of his biggest hits. You know, they are like a powerhouse team for making music. And so we know that. We also know that there will be music before the end of February for sure.
As seen on this Instagram post.
That's
which
soon.
makes it very exciting that the BRIT Awards are going to be at the Co-op Live Arena in Manchester at the end of February. Now, who was an investor in the Co-op Live Arena? Harry Styles.
No.
The part owner. So that really does point to hopefully a performance at the BRIT Awards, which, you know, would all tie in very nicely. He's performed there before many a time. He's a regular guest at the BRIT Awards. It would be great to see him back on stage there.
The maths is mathing.
Yeah. And then obviously, if you've got a crowd on your billboard and it's a hint to your last tour, the suggestion is that there's a tour coming. There's been lots of rumours about that too. I think at this point, he could sell out Wembley Stadium as many times as he wants. You could just keep putting them on sale. So that's very exciting. And then very latterly, Glastonbury 2027. I know it's 18 months away, but that is the big rumour that he is already booked, signed, sealed, delivered to headline Glastonbury in 2027, which would be absolutely brilliant. You know, there's no way that that wouldn't be a surefire smash set. So I'm very excited for the next 18 months of Harry Styles because I think he's just going to bring some much needed smiles to the world.
Can I ask a question as an ignoramus here? But are his fans people that knew him from One Direction, have sort of grown up with him? Or has he found a whole new generation of fans for whom One Direction don't actually mean anything?
There's actually, I would say Harry Styles is a completely generation-spanning act at this point, because there are, of course, fans who, liked One Direction back in the day, used to go to their concerts, who still like him now. Even though the music is very different, there are still those people who like him for that. But also, I've got my cousin who was really, really young. She was only a few years old when One Direction split up, and she loves them all, and then there's people like my gran knows Harry Styles songs, and my parents know Harry Styles songs, and when you go to those shows, it's people of all ages there, and it's so lovely. But I would say still a lot of people in their 20s and 30s love Harry Styles, but I mean, how could you not? He's a gorgeous guy, he's got great energy. Honestly, those shows, if you have a chance to go to a Harry Styles show, I would recommend it wholeheartedly.
Can I just imagine the scene of you're someone that's a fan of Harry Styles and your phone goes and Harry sent you a WhatsApp, which is a voice note, which hints at new music? I mean, we need to check the emergency room stats because I'm sorry, you would die, right?
Can you imagine Hal when this came through?
No, he's a cool cat.
Yeah, he just styled it out, but inside he would have been screaming.
It blows my mind that back in the day when, the first bands that I really loved was Steps and S Club 7, they did, SMTV and they were in the mags and that was how they launched their music. Getting a WhatsApp from your favourite pop star with a voice note. And, it just blows my mind. Maybe I'll binge that. Maybe I'll just binge people WhatsApping you voice notes.
In general or only superstars?
People in my life are like, no, Flick, we do not binge you WhatsApping as voice notes. Shall we do bin or binge properly?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
What are you actually binning and binging?
I am binning hate on the influencer type people that went to the Golden Globes.
Here.
Okay, so we've got Maura Higgins, that was the talk of the town. Alex Earle, massive in America, was on Dancing with the Stars. And then Alex Cooper, famed for the Call Her Daddy podcast, huge names. These women have grafted to their place on that showbiz ladder. Now, it might not be the traditional route. It's not Leo, it's not Sean Penn. I know that, everybody knows that, but they deserve their place on that red carpet. And there's a reason why their pictures were global, because they are incredible and they know their place in the showbiz world, which isn't just being in a film anymore.
And also, it's yeah, well, if the actors wanted more eyes on them, they should have worn better outfits. It's not our fault that Maura looks the best one on the red carpet, is it?
I mean, I also, which is a revelation considering I'm like the old fart here, but I also have renewed respect for influencers because it's so democratic. For years and years, the celebrity world has been all about not what you know, it's who you know. And actually, you can set up your own profile, you do your own thing, and okay, you might get help from other people, but, people either follow you or they don't. And you have to be clever to do what they do. Yeah. So I have an admiration for them.
Yeah, so less of that, please. I'm binging, similarly, I guess, Olivia Attwood Getting Filthy Rich.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So this is her docuseries for ITV2, looking at the sex economy, which now isn't just, the old-fashioned lap dancing, all that kind of thing. People now make money from the strangest things, as we know, selling socks, all kinds of things. It's always fascinating, this series. The topics that she looks into are things like rage bait, so that's Lily Phillips, Bonnie Blue, through to strong women, so that's the people that love a muscly gal. But it launches with the celebrity OnlyFans. And Olivia met with Kerry Katona and Katie Price. Katie Price has got her own AI Jordan.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so the reason why Katie Price is still a big name is because she always jumps on the next thing. She's making an incredible amount of money without having to do anything. So it's an AI of Jordan, which, let's face it, was the pin-up that people probably still want from her.
Yeah.
And she's recorded all of these phrases, and now you can have a chat of varying degrees of sauciness with an AI Jordan.
That's incredible. That is actually really wild, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's such a fascinating watch, and Olivia is just brilliant, and I think such a ascending star. Again, not the traditional route. She's not Sean Penn, but I think she's far more fun.
I'm actually going to take that for my bin, is to do with AI as well. So there's been this big drama this week, I don't know if you've seen, but with this artist called Sienna Rose, who has 2.8 million monthly listeners on Spotify, but she doesn't actually exist. So she's a completely AI fictitious character who someone has made up and put out like loads of songs on Spotify with a picture. It's like really cool neo soul music. And, people are listening to like Olivia Dean on Spotify and are being served this music. And they're like, wow, who's this girl? She's really talented. She's great. And then it's all been really hush-hush and hidden under the carpet that actually she doesn't exist and she's not real. She's just an AI-made thing. And it's like, God, what a depressing thing to be in, where you're just like, you can't even tell which musicians you're listening to are actually real or not. So I'm binning that. I'm like, fine to use a bit of AI in your music, but to have an AI artist when there's plenty of singers out there struggling to make ends meet is depressing.
What are you binging?
I'm going to be a stereotype, and I have to admit that I spent the entire weekend binging Heated Rivalry because it just came on Now TV. It was obviously a big hit in America, and now all of the cast are absolutely everywhere. I feel like they, on my timeline at least, they were the talk of the town at Golden Globes as well.
So this is the ice hockey.
It's an ice hockey sort of romantic drama, maybe you'd put it that way. It's got a lot of sex in it, but it's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of emotion and storyline, and it's just, I think, a really touching show in every single way.
Oh, Roddy, your bin?
My bin is the Gen X night manager. If I've got the correct terminology there, the Gen X Night Manager, because I've been watching it and we're now on the 3rd or 4th episode, and where's my sex? The sex has gone from the Night Manager. If you saw the first series, it was dripping from every single episode. I think he had sex with 3 different women in the first series, and in the second series, all we've had so far is him doing a bit of a hinting at bisexual dance with the leading lady and the sort of supporting male actor on the show. Which is, again, another very Gen X thing. It's like, we have like, bisexuality and fluidity, et cetera, but all we do is rub noses and touch each other. We don't actually go and have a shag, which is what they used to do in the old Night Manager. Where's that? And I just think it's become a victim of our, I'm sorry to say it, woke times, and it's just give me the sex back, please.
Is there no bottom? Because obviously
there's not even a bum.
It won in Rear of the Year.
It won in Rear of the Year. I mean, it's quite funny because it's obvious that the costume makers, this is the nearest thing they'll be able to do. They've sort of, in like Strictly Come Dancing style, made his trousers clearly as tight as possible to show off the cake, which I think is the modern vernacular. But they haven't dared to actually bare his bum because that would just be too much. That would be a bit 10 years ago.
Do you think it's because he's a dad now and he's like, right, I'm not having sex, I'm not getting my bum out?
Yeah, maybe it's respect for his fiancée.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and maybe now that he's a huge star, he can write into the contract, I'm not getting my bum out.
But he was already in Thor movies before the first Night Manager. It wasn't like he wasn't a big star.
No, but now he's huge. And also, you couldn't really do the Night Manager 2 without him. him. So he held a lot of the cards here. But I mean, I don't think Tom Hiddleston would be shy about getting his bum out. I mean, he's not shy about getting his kit off generally. But anyway, I'm not approving of Night Manager 2, sorry.
Okay, fair enough.
And I'm also going to Binge, another AI offering, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong here. But
AI week.
This is the new Zara app in which you can transform yourself into a model. Now, I love this because this is the one and only time I'm ever going to be transformed into a model.
That's you?
Yeah, midlife crisis
What
look.
it?
Right
I
there.
love the fit.
Okay, Roadman.
Yeah, it does look like that, doesn't it?
So you can try on clothes, your
Yeah.
model tries on own. How does it work?
You download a picture of yourself. And then, I mean, I don't know quite, because it's done quite a good job of getting my body shape, I think, and my height, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I don't know
them
quite
on.
why I've got that outfit, because I'm not sure I'd ever wear that outfit. But it doesn't matter. You get the point. It's quite convincing, though, isn't it?
You were trying to check your speedos, weren't you? And then
I know. And for some reason, it wouldn't let me do it.
AI isn't clever enough to know yet that your wardrobe is exclusively shackets.
Yes, no. You're absolutely right there, Flick. It is entirely shackets, but then I've reached that point in life. That's what we do. We go grey and we wear shackets.
There we go. We've got that to look forward to. Right, that's your Showbiz Fix for this week. Remember to subscribe to us here on the Sun Showbiz YouTube channel for all the inside TV and celebrity gossip. See you next week.